Hi, everyone. Welcome to Froggy and Friends podcast. This is a podcast put on by frogmansfinds.com. It's your local toy shop online where we offer the latest and greatest. Right now, we're offering the latest and greatest on sale as well. But we offer toys from domestic and import companies, both. Um, and everything in between. Welcome, I am Froggy. These are my friends, Jaden and Tiger, with us as always. The way we do the show is we say our hello. Sometimes we share some of our pickups. We talk toy news, media. Lately, we've been ranking all the toy companies that we can think of, and so we'll probably do some of that today. But first, before we get into toy news, both of my friends here have gotten new Yamaguchis or Yamaguchi adjacents, I guess. Jaden, I'm excited to see yours. Would you like to show us what you got?
Well, I got two this week. One
Yes,
being the man himself,
man, he
with
looks
only
so
one
good.
punch. And yeah, he really is a good looking figure. Obviously I got him from the with the bonus head sculpt. So he's got the very normal looking guy expression.
Mm,
But yeah, he's pretty good. Um I was expecting him to be a little bit more on the uh like superhero side of the articulation style, but they very much made him more like the anime side. I think to make him look a little less um actiony and more like stylized for looking like the anime. But yeah, it still moves amazing. It's all the poses that you really want it to hit. Um, but yeah, I'm enjoying him so far. The
um,
second thing,
he looks so
this guy
good.
right here, which is the
Man, he looks good.
Mess Toys. Uh, he's not called Black Neighbor, is he? He's called something,
Black suit neighbor.
something like that. uh,
Yes,
Probably slightly less offensive. I don't know why my camera is not focusing here. There we go.
there he is.
But he actually is a lot better than I expected. I'm used to the CT Toys type of quality. They're really good. They made an amazing anti-venom. This guy's along the same lines. Really feels very quality. I did have to heat up his biceps
Mm,
just to get him moving right away. But other than that, right out of the box, feeling really good. Not at all like a knockoff, but one of the things I did want to note is that when you compare him to the
mm,
original, you can see his like sculpting, especially around like the sides of his body. He's got more musculature and his shoulders are a bit wider.
mm,
And he's a little bit beefier in the thigh area as well, and he just feels a lot more muscled all
mm.
around. And it's something that I didn't think that they would actually go to the lengths of doing, to actually make him more than the original. Because I know a lot of people were saying like, "Oh, that the all new, all different Spidey is a little too buff for my liking." And then this guy came out and they were like, "Oh, it's perfect. It's just like the all new, all different Spidey, but he's actually even bigger." So if you do have the original, still works with that.
That's interesting because s- because I think the assumption is with knockoffs, like they're just, doing whatever they do, whether it's like putting it into a mold or, scanning it, whatever, just to make a duplicate. But if the body musculature is different, then I'm very curious what they've done to make it a knockoff. If you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean they have used the original Revo joints as well. You know, they've copied those straight from uh Kyoto, and then but also like it's weird too because they've redone the hands where it's the back of the hand that shoots out the web as opposed to the front of the hand.
Oh, I was gonna
Uh,
ask if any
so
of
it's a
the
closed
accessories are
fist.
different. Interesting.
These are pretty much the exact same. They're just carbon copies of the originals, but they are cast in white instead of that like off white that they've been doing.
Yeah.
That Yamaguchi has been doing. So his web swinging hand, it plugs right into the back of that fist there, and then he's got alternate fists for actually grabbing the webs. From the top.
Oh,
So
Yeah.
man.
he
They're
comes
like
with a lot actually.
they're becoming their own thing. CT Mess Toys.
Yeah, these
And
KO companies, they're shooters now, man. You gotta watch out for them.
oh yeah,
And it's funny. I think
he
we
even
mentioned
comes
it.
with a squinty head.
Oh, that's
Oh
nice.
yeah.
But yeah, it's like knockoff companies are now trying to knock off like CT Toys, knockoffs of knockoffs because they're so legit, so funny.
Oh
Man,
yeah.
yeah, they both look really good. I was gonna ask for Saitama. I know with uh Yamaguchi's Superman, you taught me that hack, Jaden. I don't know if it's a hack, but basically just take off the plastic part for the top of the cape and then just shove it into the neck hole. I know that Saitama has that plastic part on top. Do you feel like it's not as much of an issue as it was with Superman?
I do feel like it's not as much of an issue, especially because and this might be an issue for some people who are trying to get like right behind, but I don't know if it can show up on camera, but like he's got a little
Mm-hmm.
thing in there that sort of pushes it away from the back, so it doesn't get
Oh,
in the way of any articulation, anything like that. And then these pieces are independent, kind of like with Moon Knight, the way that he was,
hmm,
Yeah.
and they can also hide up articulation on top. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds. I haven't felt the need to get him a additional cloth cape or anything. I think he's fine the way he is, but maybe for some that don't like that mix, I think the whites match pretty well.
yeah,
Um, other than just being slightly glossier, even then
yeah,
it's really just the wrinkles that don't line up, and that's about it. Um, yeah, looks pretty clean.
yeah. He looks
Yeah. I
so
like them
good.
both.
Um, I saw. So I posted on the Yamaguchi Facebook group, like, hey, does anybody have like a lead on on these that bonus head, which I really feel like should be standard. Nobody answered, but I did find another poster um, that is sculpting his own Saitama heads. He has like the neutral
Mm.
expression. He has one where it looks like he's eating with like the dumb, kind of the blank expression. Has like his bag of groceries, um, all really cool. But um, yeah, his Instagram and Facebook posts say, coming along nicely, put in your order, but not for America until tariffs go away. It's like
Uh,
Oh,
awesome, great,
yeah.
fantastic.
yeah.
So I'm still on the hunt. Well, we'll see. I might just go ahead and order him before he goes out of stock, though. But yeah, the hunt continues. Tiger, I am excited to see yours as well.
Yeah, I got the re-release of Arkham Knight. Um, I don't know if my camera is really going to be able to show off the poses really good. I've got him kind of in like a little tactical pointing kind of pose right here. But,
Yeah.
he comes with the red set of armor and head that you can swap on there. And I'm not looking forward to doing that, but it's going to look really, really cool when I do. Um, Yeah, he's a blast. He doesn't really have those shifting shoulder plates, like that Deathstroke that I got last time, but he still has plenty of range from the typical Gucci shoulder joint. Really fun to pose. He can hit all kinds of super dynamic angles, and came with swords and knives, guns, pretty much all the things you want Jason Todd to have. So yeah, really enjoying it, and need to pose it some more before I get like a real good feel on him. But yeah, he's definitely cool. Uh, Definitely recommend.
Nice. Jaden, the Arkham Knight came out after, so for the original releases, Arkham Knight came out after Deathstroke, right?
Yes, much later. Yeah.
So it's interesting. How do you feel the articulation is different between both of those 1.5s, Tiger?
Hmm. Well, yeah, I think that the Deathstroke definitely gets a little bit more in that, like moving them, their arms and shoulders in like really awkward positions that you can only do with those shoulder plates. But I mean, for a gunner, like Arkham Knight or assassin type, like I feel like you're going to be able to still hit like all the poses, even really dynamic, weird poses. Shooting behind him or over the shoulder. Whatever weird position that you want, he'll be able to hit that. I do like those sliding shoulder pieces. Like the Saitama has it, right?
So are I always So, which ones are you talking? The more like classic butterfly joints where they go just side to side, or are you talking about the ones that go like almost vertically, like the whole arm
Yeah,
kind
almost
of?
like vertically, where it's like the shoulder and chest kind of all like move like that. Is
So
that what you're
Saitama
talking about?
does not have that. He has the regular butterfly joints that just go back
Okay,
and forth. But
gotcha.
yeah, I will say that that just gives a little bit more natural movement to like shoulder
Yeah,
stuff, which I like from the
definitely
Yamaguchis.
nothing that I'd like complain about, but yeah, if you compare them, like
Mhm.
I think one definitely does have a little bit more natural range. It's kind of easier to hit, but if you fiddle with the shoulders on this one, you can hit pretty much any pose that you want. But yeah, a good pickup. I really like the character. It was so funny when that character came out. They were all like, "This is a brand new character. This is not Jason
Yeah.
Todd." Everyone was on social media like, "Man, that's Jason Todd, huh?" And they were like, "No, no, original character." And then the game comes out, and of course it's Jason Todd. But I've
Yeah.
always liked the character too, and even if they kind of made him weird in that game, like yeah, it's a good look. Even if like you don't really like the character or anything, he just kind of looks like a cyberpunk tech kind of guard assassin or something. So yeah, definitely a good pickup for me. And I've got Saitama coming. It should be here Monday, I think.
Oh, nice.
Very nice. Yeah, it's funny because I think we were talking about it maybe, I think when we first started ranking, so maybe 2 episodes ago. But yeah, how uh Yamaguchi, like how he's adjusted his like the way he sculpts and makes his figures. And it's funny that an older figure actually has better articulation than a newer one. And I think it was because back then Yamaguchi was like, these things are gonna move like crazy. And they look weird, but like they're gonna hit every pose that you can imagine. I think like we talked about. And I think Arkham Knight is like part of that transitionary period where he started making them more like regular action figures and less of the typical Yamaguchi. So it's almost like a evolution. It's interesting to like kind of see those points where like things start changing. Ah, but yeah, I think I'll probably put an order in for him. I have a couple things that are in the mail. I don't think they'll be here for about a week or so. I did get so I actually got um SH Figure Arts Common Rider Baron arms, or the banana arms.
Yeah.
Um, I actually opened them up, and it's like one of those times where as soon as I hold a figure, I'm like, oh, I don't like it. Um,
Oh man.
I think it's he looks really cool. I have the orange arms or orange whatever. Um, and that armor feels like it sits a lot more secure on him, but the banana one, it's always kind of like felt like it was floppy. So I just um put it back in the box and feel bad admitting this, but because it was sold and shipped by Amazon, I was like, just put it back in the box, say that I opened the box. I didn't, I looked at it and I put it right back in the box and they accepted the return. So I got this in exchange, which is my first robot spirits. It's just, the
Mm,
granddaddy
yeah.
of Gundam. I haven't decided if I want to keep it or not. It they shipped it in like a loose bag, basically, like a
Mm,
plastic bag, and so it came like all jacked up like this. So that's an easy return, but I did take him out a little bit. He articulates well, but like I don't know if you can tell, he's really, really little, like probably five
Oh yeah.
inches. Um, so I'm not exactly sure how I feel about it. But yeah, one of the friends on Discord, Snake, he's recommended I pick up this guy and just kind of give Robot Spirits a try. He is really cool, but I don't know if it quite has a place in my collection or not. So I'm still kind of sitting on that.
neat.
Yeah. Okay. We'll do some news real quick. As I mentioned up at the top, um, we're running a sale right now. It'll still be going on, or it'll be probably the last day when this episode goes up. But trying to put up some things, I mean, to clear out some of our storage, but also, hopefully someone can find something that they like in the sale and pick something up. But yeah, so we're running that right now. We're getting 5 cases of our Fantastic Four order in probably Saturday. So I'll start shipping them out maybe that day or a Monday. We're also getting the black suit Tobey Maguire Spider-Man in, um, commonly known as Bully Maguire. I don't know where he is on here. Yeah, so he's coming in. So that'll be fun to have. Yeah, so we have him come in. That'll be fun. I think I don't even remember if I mentioned on the pod, but he has a really cool accessory with like symbiote like taking over his head. So if only for that, I think it'll be a fun
Hmm.
fun figure to have. Um, yeah, in terms of news this week, Jada dropped all of their San Diego Comic Con exclusives. Um, they have these cuties. The Neo Metals. It'll be a 6 pack in that retro packaging. What's great about Jada exclusives, at least in the years prior, they put them up on Jada Next Level, which is the site that I'm on right now. Um, they put them up usually to order at the same time, and so not too hard to get. Then they have Dulcim and M Bison with their Player 2 looks. I don't think I have. Oh yeah, here we can use Fraternias, but um, yeah, I mean these fire effects are just incredible. Um,
Oh yeah.
they usually don't release their pricing until like the day of the con, and so I'm gonna guess these deluxe packages. I like that he's like giving himself a nuggie here. I can only imagine they're gonna be like $50, $60 is my guess, but I guess we'll see. But yeah, I love that these like con exclusives, they're just, it's a different color. Um, and so they're not like super necessary, but they come with like some really cool um, extra accessories even for the original release. Like I think both Dulcim and Bison will come with regular colored alt heads for the initial release. I think for M Bison it's this like evil grin. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, I think they're gonna be really cool if not even just for the fire effect alone. But the other stuff they come with is pretty cool. I'd say the other big news, um, Mezco put up the Nightwing. Did you see this, Jaden?
Yeah.
Um, it's I guess the new 52 version. Um,
I It might be. There's been a couple of like red Nightwing versions.
Yeah, around the New 52, they
Uh,
did the whole red wing kind of look, and I think that is what this comes from.
hmm,
It's a cool look, but I think
Yeah,
as we discussed on Discord at least, sucks that it's like and it wasn't available now. It ships after San Diego Comic Con, so the end of July. Whereas the Blue Nightwing that went up a while back has been pushed to August to September. It's just
mm, yeah.
doesn't make sense, but
wild that like they haven't even released the original and they're already releasing a variant. It's
yeah, it does. It just it doesn't make any sense, but that's okay. We'll get to the Mystic Legion stuff last, but Anime Expo just started today, which is January 3rd. And the Storm booth, they're showing off their Storm Arena figures, and they actually have the Alpha Ken and Ryu up for sale at an increased cost compared to what it is online. I think it's just like, hey, you're getting it early, so charging you a little bit more. Um, but yeah, they have like I think last time we saw, I know for sure Morgan and Lilith, they were unpainted. I think Dan was unpainted as well. They might have all been, but they're all painted now, painted samples, and they all look really good. It was Mr. Lee on Instagram was posing, I think Dan, or no, and it was Sagat and Charlie. They both look really great. So yeah, Street Fighter fans are eating good right now. They're making a lot of cool figures.
oh yeah.
So
I
yeah,
like that Charlie Nash a lot.
yeah. I mean, I think they all look great. Yeah, I'm probably most excited for Dan because he's like such a loser. I think it'll be fun to play with, but they all look really good. Um, yeah, and then yesterday, so this would be Wednesday night, July 2nd. Four Horsemen showed off their new wave. It's like the horrors of something something. I don't know. Yeah, someone in another Discord was joking like it's like Mean Girls, like stop trying to get fetch like to work. It's like with Mystic Legions, like their lore. It's like I think you're the only ones that care about your lore. They, like spend so much of their stream like this is this guy from blah 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 blah. But anyways, yeah. So I think the general story is that this guy, who looks kind of like a Nordic Viking, Halvard, and Commander Igraine. Their female sculpt looks really, really good. But these two are like adventurers. They come into a tavern owned by this gnome dude who's really cute.
His name's Noam Chomsky. We can't skip that.
That might that might be a John editorial. Um, I don't remember. It very well might be the real name of the figure, but I know that John editorialized some of these as well. He's probably my favorite reveal from this upcoming wave. I think he looks like so much fun. Um, and then they have an accessory pack. Oftentimes, Mythic Legion accessory packs are just like hands, or like they've even had like a bunch of belts as an accessory pack. I think this is probably their best Mythic Legions accessory pack by far. With like
I'm
the
definitely gonna grab that one. That one's fantastic.
yeah, the barrel splits open too. Like it halves. You can open up the halves and then have just half of it on the stand if you want. Yeah, and then like even the spout you can take on and off. The the foam, like the beer foam at the top of the mugs is removable, so it could look like an empty mug
Oh
or a
man.
filled mug. Super cool.
Nice. Yeah, I like
Um,
those.
this dude is like an ice. Um, what is Loki? An ice
Giant.
Ice
giant.
Giant.
Yeah. So it's like their version of an ice giant. Um, cool. He uses their new articulation that they introduced, I think, in the wave before this one, which also is not out yet. But he has double jointed elbows, bicep swivel. He has 2 points of articulation on his chest. I think there's a waist and
Mm.
a upper torso. You can kind of see it here. He has butterflies, which other Legions figures don't have. So that's some of their new articulation shown off there. Yeah, there's little fox guy. I don't think that's his name, but I think that's
Oh
the
my
name.
god.
It's pretty adorable.
It's the
It's a
name
little
that John
fox
gave him.
guy.
Yeah.
I
With
like that
this,
campfire piece too.
it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so, oh man. I don't think we talked about the HasLab on our pod, but I'll have to touch on it real quick. But yeah, he's like so cute. He's so cute. He has this like little like weird elf badger alternate head, but why would you use that when you have a little fox head? Um, so he's super cute. This is Sassy Bear, according to John. Another bear, something that was also introduced in the Rising Suns wave, has not come out yet, but you got this bear that is mountable, which is really cool too. And then this is like the big bad of the wave, Garmire. He's 9 inches tall, so he's like their ogre scale, and he's just a giant werewolf, basically.
Wow.
Um, yeah, he like comes with a face that's muzzled, one that's like roaring, like all sorts of like different things hanging off of his armor, which is really cool. Um, Big old sword. I think it's the same sword they've used for their other ogre scale figures, but yeah, really cool stuff. There's a picture of all of them like next to each other in scale. I don't think John has it here, um, but yeah, these guys are a new scale, which is gnome scale. So it's I think they said on the stream there's the human, and then the goblin is like the goblin or the what is Gimli? A dwarf.
The dwarf.
So like the goblin dwarf scale is 2/3 height of a human, and the gnome scale is 2/3 height of the dwarf. So they're even smaller. Um,
Okay. Yeah, thirds of thirds is it's interesting. All right. It makes
Tiny
yeah,
math
little guy.
complicated, but whatever.
yeah. I'll see if I can find it while we're chatting, but yeah, they're all. I think they'll be very fun. I think it's yeah. In all earnesty, I think it's going to be a really fun wave. But yeah, let's see if I can find it. There's a couple more pictures of like the Jada exclusives and such. Oh, here we go. So yeah, so I think the Fox guy,
Yeah, those are little guys.
the Fox guy is can you go away? Okay. Yeah, the Fox guy is the same height by the shoulders as the gnome dude, but his head is a lot bigger. But yeah, they're little dudes. Little dudes. Real quick, um, oh, this might show my information. Okay, so have you seen any of this, Jaden or Tiger, the HasLab?
I've seen a little bit of it. I haven't seen all of it. I've just seen like a couple feature show offs, I guess.
Yeah, so this is the HasLab for the G.I. Joe classified line. It's the Snowcat, which is like a snow vehicle transport. I don't know, whatever. But what I love about this, and what just like I love about that Mythic Legions line, it's so food related, which is so fun. So it has all the usual like light up stuff on the inside, which is great. Um, the the default base pack-in figure has a thermos with a removable cup on the top.
Awesome.
And then there is a pull-out kitchenette with ice in the in the sink. that comes straight out of the Snowcat itself. There's like drink holders, things like that. And then for the stretch goals, um, they have, oh, maybe they don't have pictures here. A little bit, maybe a little bit harder to see, but one of them is this like pop-up tent, and then there's also like a little campfire. There's a fishing line, alternate fishing hooks, roasted fish, that you can
Huh.
use like a little spike to, I think one of the other figures has like the little roaster spike that you could put the fish onto the spike. Yeah, the guy in the middle, it's a little bit hard to see, but he has like one of one of those to go coffee like boilers, as well as a skillet with eggs and sausages. And he also has like a
Wow.
portable cup of coffee. Um, yeah, maybe a little bit easier to see here, but yeah, it's wild.
Huh. 2 eggs on a frying pan too. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So as of right now, it looks like it's about 2,000 backers away from backing the base, but I have no doubt this will be backed. Okay, that brings us back here to our tier list that we've been working on. I'd say we're maybe like halfway through. Um, I need to take a drink of water. I would like to talk at length about Four Horsemen. But I will pass it to you, Tiger, to choose one before that while I recharge my moisture.
All right. Yeah. I think Figuarts would be a good one to touch on. I think they're in a pretty similar boat to Figma, but they're at a better price point, and I like their engineering a little bit better. I feel like I can more naturally hit poses with them than I can a Figma. But I don't know. Do you guys think that they're kind of comparable, or one is above the other?
I feel like with SHF, there's a lot of room for like variance there, depending on what line you're talking about, you know? Because
Definitely.
the like MCU figures, for instance, I would put on par with Figma any day. Like their articulation is not that great. I've been constantly disappointed by them. They run a little small, anyways, for even SHF figures. And then their Dragon Ball line, on the other hand, is almost completely flawless. They're so good. They have so much engineering. The only complaint I have is that they don't like update the bodies more often to for the new engineering that they put into them, and they just keep improving on them. Like yeah. So
There definitely is a lot of that variance, like you talked about. And then if you look at like the Shinchoku Seiho lines, like that is like premium. Like all the figures and characters are perfectly modeled, scanned off the actors and suits and stuff. It's all perfect
mm,
down to every detail with good articulation and just great paint app. And they usually don't come with all that much, but it's definitely like a premium figure arts figure. So they've got stuff that definitely can be a little on the sketchier side, more QC issues or lines they don't finish. A
Hmm.
lot of times can be aggravating for people, but I've got a lot of figure arts from some cheap ones to, like I said, the Shinchoku, and I like most of them. There's a few that I might sell, but for the most part, I think that I would place them a step above Figma when you factor in like the price point, the characters that they've got available, the architecture being, in my opinion, at least a little bit better. Maybe not a whole lot, but yeah, I've got a lot of their stuff. I've got a lot of stuff on pre-order from them, and yeah, especially if you love like Common Rider or Ultraman stuff like that, like
mm.
that's gonna be your bread and butter.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I do think it is a little bit hard to put a value or to put a rank on Tamashii Nations or just even just SH Figuarts as a whole because of that variance between the lines. Yeah, I think at one point it was, if the product is made in China, then it's going to have a much better quality than if it were made in Vietnam. But with all the things that are going on right now, I know, or at least the word on the street is that Bandai is moving a lot of their production just over to Vietnam, just kind of across the board. Um, but yeah, I think as you were, I mean, as both of you are saying, I think there's like some surefire hits, like you said, Tiger. If you're gonna get a like a Common Rider, an Ultraman, like even if it's not a Shinchoku Seiho, like even if it's not up to that tier, like the odds are it's going to be a good figure. Um, with like Banana Arms, like it just wasn't to my liking, but it's still a good figure. I think it's still well made. Um, but yeah, when a new line comes out, I think there has to be some level of hesitation because you don't know what you're going to get. I think a really good example recently is the Shikamaru with the really horribly painted eyes on one of those face plates. This is like just
Yeah, bad
terrible.
QC there.
Um, the What really pains me is the Dandadan figures have been really bad. Um,
That's
and
unfortunate.
yeah, that so I think that was a realization for me. That yeah, I can't because I think if I'm being honest, even with all these things said, Figuarts is still probably my favorite toy line. Um, at least it's at least in the upper echelon of my favorites. But that was a learning point that I can't just jump into it and just be like, oh, because it's SHF, it's going to be good. Like Gon and Killua from Hunter x Hunter. I know Gon is out right now. Talked about him last week, but yeah, that could have been hit or miss. Thankfully, it seems like Gon is pretty well received, so I assume Killua is going to be good too. But yeah, you just kind of you never know, so it's hard to say. Where does your gut put him, Tiger?
For me personally, like I said, if I look at the Figma that I've got and the figure arts that I've got, I'm more likely to pick up my figure arts and start posing them and messing with them and stuff. So I would probably put them a step above, like in B, but that's arguable, I think, like based on some of the stuff we talked about or personal preference. So if y'all think it should be next to Figma, I understand that too.
Honestly,
Uh,
I would say even maybe even A. But put them in B, maybe even A, just because like when they hit really hard. Like the
yeah,
$35 Dragon Ball superhero wave. Like it's
so good,
so good for such a great price point. Like
so good.
I yeah, it it it's crazy that that's also the same company that made the like a $200 statue basically. Like
Yeah,
it's weird, but I think a B or A is perfectly acceptable for them.
yeah. I would put them in A, and I think we said this before, but once we finish, we can kind of close ranks and we can readjust things once we've kind of gone through the ringer with all of them. But I feel like it's an A. Yeah, like Jaden, like you said, the superhero figures for Dragon Ball Killer, the Daima figures, like they're the best of the best, like best figures I've ever held for like Goku and Vegeta. Um, Even the One Piece Romance Dawn, I think from besides maybe like one or two of those figures, they've all been like just immaculate. So I do feel like they have more bangers than they don't, but there can be a toss up.
Yeah.
Jaden, I'll give the pick to you because I feel like I might take up the rest of the time with Four Horsemen.
I am going to go with something that maybe we might not have all experience on the Hot Toys.
Yeah, I don't
I
have
Gonna
any hot
keep with my
toys.
theme of cloth goods here.
Yeah, you take it. I've seen them in person, but I've not ever articulated or played with one.
So I've gotten a few at this point, and I've messed with a few more. And I, at first, they had this sort of air of like, well, they're very delicate. You can't really pose them up all that much for fear of like the cloth wrinkling and getting stretched out too much and stuff like that. And then after, getting a few of these figures and a few more, like I feel like that's almost completely unwarranted. They articulate pretty well for how big they are. I wouldn't say that they're, anything ultra special. They are comparable to Mezco, with the same issues as Mezco, I suppose, with a lot of their boots not being accessible for ankles and stuff like that. Although they are usually a little bit softer plastic, it's still a little hard to articulate. But sometimes with like my 2020 Miles Morales, um, like they have little ratcheting joints in there, so it's a little easier. Um, and I, I just think that overall, you probably cannot get a more detailed and accurate version of the figure that Hot Toys makes. Sometimes they're a little miss on either the overall concept, like with their Spider-Man 2099, where they decided to give him um, just bare plastic for whatever reason. Um, and then there's a couple like likenesses that just for whatever reason were just complete misses, but usually like 90% of the time they're absolutely spot on.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a
Yeah.
rush of releases for the new Superman movie. McFarlane started it, and then I think, gosh, was it Beast Kingdoms has one? There's a couple of smaller companies that have released one. Figuarts put up theirs recently, but you can't, yeah, you can't beat the Hot Toys. Like,
Those face sculpts and stuff are insane.
yeah,
Oh
they're
yeah.
completely next level.
I don't have any
And a
myself,
lot
but
of
I've
times
sorry.
no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I've never had any myself, but I've had friends who've had some, and so I've got to mess around a little bit and just like they look amazing. I can't really speak to like the articulation level or how hard it is to upkeep them or whatever. Like, but just what I've played around with in my hands, I think it was a Star Lord, um, and it was super cool. Yeah, just amazing detail on all the clothing and head sculpts. Uh, my plan is to buy one of a character that I really, really love and then never buy another one.
I wish you luck with that.
But yeah,
But
they look
yeah,
super rad.
there's only two downsides that I can think of to Hot Toys. One is that in their dioramas, they love using extremely flimsy plastic,
Hmm,
like very thin. I have it with my uh Sylvie Loki. Uh the little door that she comes through. It's like very clear, very thin plastic that you sort of just have to fold yourself and turn into the thing.
interesting.
And it just feels like, I just paid $200 for this figure. Like, why isn't this a little bit more like even just like matte sprayed, like so it's not so glossy. Um,
Mhm.
it's an odd choice that they consistently do with a lot of their figures. And the other thing is a lot of their prices are borderline inaccessible.
Yeah,
Very pricey.
yeah. I
And
mean,
they take up a lot of space. It's hard to have a 1/6 scale collection. Like you can't have too
Mhm.
many figures before it starts really stacking up.
Oh yeah.
yeah, um, yeah. The buddies that I have from my try not to tell a long story, so I keep stopping. Buddies that I made from an old Star Wars collecting Discord. We chat outside of Discord now, kind of maintained our friendships. But yeah, for most of them they've left like collecting Black Series, the vintage collection, and kind of like you said, Tiger, they're like, okay, this is my version of Anakin Skywalker, and I'm gonna get the Hot Toys and then I'm gonna put it in a nice, lighted shelf that I will dust, and he'll just be there. And like that's kind of like how they've shifted their collections. Because yeah, I mean, like I don't think anybody would argue with you if you were to say that this Superman is the definitive Superman figure from the movie. Like it is. There's no question.
Mhm.
But like you said, it's prohibitively expensive and they're very large. Um, and I think they basically require a nice display like setup to have them, or else it feels like you're kind of losing out, I think, on some of the value of the figure. But they're super nice for sure. Curious where you rank them, Jaden. You have the most experience, but I would
I
probably agree with wherever you put them.
I would say a solid A. I think putting them in line with Mezco is pretty safe, honestly. Uh, Again, they have, I would say they're, overall better quality than Mezco, but also they're way, way, way pricier than Mezco. So I think it balances out at the end of the day.
I feel pretty comfortable putting them in S. I feel like people would riot. Because I mean, they are the top tier action figure line. I think there are things that keep them back from being like able to recommend without hesitation, but
Mhm.
I think it's pretty hard to argue that they're not some of the best out there.
Yeah,
I,
just
I
not
could
looking
agree
at
with
the
that. Yeah.
quality and like just the figure itself and like what it is. Like, yeah, it's super high quality. Like I've never seen one that looks super bad. I know Jaden was saying that there's some likenesses that aren't quite so good and all that, but yeah, I've never seen screenshots of one and been like, wow, that looks awful.
Yeah, my funny enough, my optometrist in the waiting room has a display case filled with Hot Toys. And then
That's awesome.
he has a couple of the Star Wars HasLabs in there too. I think for most people, like, oh, cool. But I've been seeing him for years and years now. So we talk about action figures and stuff. But he's like, yeah, I have more at home, but these are the ones that I just leave here in the office. And it's like he has the Hulkbuster Hot Toys in there. He has
Oh
General
man.
Grievous, like a ton of the Clone Wars ones. Like it's all super nice. Yeah, the Hulkbuster like takes up, I don't know, it must be like at least this big.
Yeah, the size of I don't even know if I could say small child, just a regular like a child. Like
Yeah,
it's
because you could fit a Hot Toys Iron Man inside of it.
yeah.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. Oh man. Okay. Four Horsemen. I will preface this by saying I am biased, and so I'll lean on Jaden and Tiger. I am biased because I started off Frogman as a approved retailer. Yeah, if you're not familiar with the way that Four Horsemen operate, um, when they put up pre-orders and stuff, and there'll just be items that are just for their store only. But kind of for the bread and butter, they'll put up pre-orders and they're only on their store. Um, and then if you don't get it directly from the Four Horsemen site, you can get it from their approved retailers. Most people, will kind of go to Big Bad as the alternative. But there can be other retailers that Four Horsemen will like vet and approve. And so when I started Frogman 3 years ago, I set up my wholesale account where I get pretty much all of my stuff now, and then I also set up an account with Four Horsemen. As last I heard, which is maybe 6 to 8 months ago, they're not accepting new approved retailers. But yeah, I did not have a good experience as an approved retailer for Four Horsemen, and so I think that definitely colors my opinion on them. Um, but I will say, um, I think their stuff is really good, really good. I think they make really quality figures. So again, if you're unfamiliar, they have under the Four Horsemen company, I guess. There's Mystic Legions, Cosmic Legions, and then Figure Obscura. So Mystic Legions is where they started. That's kind of like the sword and sorcery, knights, wizards, stuff like that. I think, yeah, the horror of Ensammal that we were talking about before is part of Mythic Legions. Um, so there's that. They have Cosmic Legions, which is basically just like their sci-fi releases. It's like a science fiction kind of take on their characters and stuff. And then Figure Obscura tends to be, or has always been so far, characters that are um, public use license. Is that what they call it? Like, um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
just like,
like
Public
folklore
domain.
characters.
yeah. So they've done like Father Christmas. They've done Frankenstein's Creature, Ghost of Jacob Marley from A Ghost Story of, or from A Christmas Carol, Mask of the Red Death, which is I was gonna say Edward Scissorhands, Edgar Allan Poe. They've done the Monkey King, so there's a lot of really cool stuff there. Um, and I think also just to kind of continue the history, they were inspired by the Glios system. Glios I actually have a baggie of Glios pieces on my desk, but the Glios system is basically pop and swap for action figures. Like you could take off the legs and put it on the hips of another one, and kind of make your own figure. So that was the intention that these Legions figures were built on. Um, so they always have this kind of pop and swap ability where you can take the armor or the arms or the whole torso and put them all together. It can go across Mythic Legions to Cosmic Legions to Figure Obscura, and so that's kind of been their approach. Um, I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts before I continue. I'd love to hear kind of your take on their stuff before I rant.
Uh, I I've had fairly decent experience with the ones that I've bought. They're not the most articulated, but they are very detailed. The paint quality is very good. Um, Mainly I've stayed away from them because they're not very articulated, and I can't get a lot of them into like two-handed sword poses, stuff like that. Uh, but that being said, uh, I think the value really lies in what you were talking about with the pop and swap and kit bashing and creating your own real universe that is amongst your figures, and you can do so much with that, especially with like the mounts that they have as well, plus the all the weapon packs and stuff that you can just buy, army builders who have just a ton of accessories. Yeah, I think that's where most of their value really shines from. And if you're like a fan of just having a bunch of little guys fighting each other,
For sure.
you can't get any better than that.
Yeah. Did you have
Yeah,
some of
the
the best army
modular.
builders?
Yeah, the modular aspect's really cool, and I didn't realize how deeply modular that they were. Like I didn't
Yeah.
know that the Cosmic Legions and the Mythic Legions could swap. I figured they'd be on slightly different systems.
Yeah.
That's cool though.
Dorklayer, can't remember his real name. William, I think, Bill. But yeah, Dorklier, his whenever he does reviews for Mythic Legions or Cosmic Legions, he will always end the reviews with like pop and swaps. And so he'll show you different examples of things that he's popped and swapped between, all the different lines. And so I think in
Cool.
this video, he only showed one, but yeah, even like with the most recent figure obscura, which was Ganesha. I don't see where his video is. Oh, here. But yeah, he even does pop and swaps with Ganesha to show you like the different things that you could put on. And I think in the Ganesha video, he's actually showing you like these are all the pieces and so how you could use them in other places. Um, but yeah, like he put on like ogre scale armor onto the Ganesha body. And
Mm.
so yeah, I think it's super cool. I think it's a really cool
Yeah,
feature.
it's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've only got the skeleton 4-pack. They're kind of stiff, they don't have double joints or anything like that, but I think for having some little monsters for your characters to fight or whatever, they look good. I had ordered a Blue Knight like 2 years ago, and I hadn't heard anything from it. And I asked them about it, and they were like, "Oh yeah, it might be out like at the end of this year." And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
"Geez, y'all already like took my money like over a year and a half ago."
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, "Well, how much longer is it going to be?" And they were like, "Yeah, maybe the end of this year." And I was like, "Can I just get a refund?" Which it says on their site that there's no refund on something like that, but they did it. They refunded me, and so I'm not going to get it. But like, it was, yeah, a pretty cool looking Blue Knight that had a bunch of different helmets and chess pieces and different stuff to make him look like all kinds of different knights. And I think that stuff is cool, but yeah, it was expensive and it was just taking so long.
Hmm. Yeah.
I'm
I
trying to
think
remember where that was from, but yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I think there with the magic accessories pack, there was a time where I was just like, "Oh, you think the Michael Keaton Batman is bad? I've ordered this pack for 2.5 years, and they still haven't even like given a release date." It's just like, oh man, they do take their time with the releases. Granted, they usually only announce like one wave at a time, and then they develop it for the next couple years, and then they finally release it. But um, yeah, it's a slow process.
Crack my knuckles. Yeah, I mean, yeah. It's not, yeah. I don't know how many people are gonna actually hear me say this, but yeah, I think biggest that's one of my biggest issues with them. So as kind of as Jaden and the Tiger have mentioned, the way they operate is they started as a Kickstarter. I think, I don't know. They've been around for a long time. They were kind of the like poster child for Kickstarter action figure line. They did it well, and they kind of turned it into a business. But the thing is that in the way that I view it, and I'm would love to be proven wrong. The way it seems is that they've just continued operating like a Kickstarter in the 10 plus years that they've been around. And so, um, yeah, when I started Frogman in 2022, um, and I was talking to Jeremy Gerard, who's their marketing person, basically the face of the company. Um, he was like, "Oh yeah, like orders for Poxus has closed," which is the wave that Jaden got the magic effects from. As you can, if you're seeing on the screen with us, it's revealed at 2021. So this is summer of 2022. He's like, "Yeah, can get you in on that. Like, we should have it maybe by the end of the year." Cool. By the time I canceled my account with them, a year and a half or 2 years later, Poxus was still not in hand. Um, But they, as you know, as Tiger had said, and Jaden had said, they take your money as soon as they announce it, and they will hold your money until it comes out, whenever that'll be. And they incentivize you to do that because, again, I mean, we can look at it here. So with this new Horror of Insamel line, or wave, if you do the pre-order all in, so you get all the items for this new wave, it's $375, and they will highlight, maybe it's not here, but they highlight it on their Instagram. Like, you're saving, like, here it is. This set includes an even steeper discount with 30% off normal retail pricing. So they're saying you pre-order with us, you give us your money in advance, you're going to save 30% off if you were to go to any other retailer. Any other retailer means any other retailer that we've approved. So Four Horsemen incentivize shoppers and their most ardent supporters to buy it directly from them, pay upfront, and give their money way before the wave actually comes out. You can only pre-order with Four Horsemen directly for that first month after a wave is revealed. After that, approved retailers can take pre-orders for however long, until the wave comes out. But they tell you specifically this is how much it has to cost, um, and you're going to get your items from us after we ship out all of the orders directly through us. So not only as an approved retailer, it's going to cost more expensive for customers to shop with you. They're gonna get it much later than anybody else gets it if they shop with us directly. Um, but the incentive as a retailer is they say, like, oh, if you are carrying Hasbro stuff, like, your margins are only going to be like a couple dollars. Well, this Mythic Legions item, it costs $45 retail. Your wholesale cost for this is going to be $20. So you're like, great, I'm going to double my money by ordering this Mythic Legions line. But again, the way they stipulate it is you have to order a case of every single item in that wave. A case each of, the wave of Insamel, like all these characters, and then the accessory set, that's cool. When it's a case of belts, when it's a case of horses, when it's a case of head packs, and a case is being, like 12 to 24 items, um, the draw is like, hey, you're gonna double your money buying this from us. But the reality is most of the approved retailers are not able to move their stock because the people that love Legions the most are going to buy it directly from Four Horsemen. And then you're just going to pick up people who are like, oh, that looks cool. I've seen some videos of it in hand. Okay. And those people are going to go to Big Bad Toy Store. And so the only people that don't go to Big Bad Toy Store is if Big Bad Toy Store sells out, or if you have kind of the knowledge of like the way this whole system works, and you're like, I actually want to support one of the approved retailers rather than Four Horsemen or Big Bad Toy Store. I was ranting for 3 minutes, but
That's
um,
Yeah,
interesting. That's a
it doesn't
peek
sound like a
behind
great
the
setup.
curtain. Yeah.
yeah. So it's frustrating because yeah, there's almost this like bait and switch, and you know, for me as like as a toy store that was just starting, like I was a nobody, right? And so being an approved retailer, like I think if I was an approved retailer now, like I have enough of a customer base that people are like, yeah, I'll wait and I'll order it from you. But back then I was like trying to find ways to promote myself as an approved retailer and get orders. And I put up the Poxus wave, I got zero pre-orders. Nobody pre-ordered from me. I Again, I think their toys are really, really great. I don't think there's anybody out there making these kind of at least like fantasy level stuff with like swappable armor and like all these different races. I don't think there's any other toy companies out there that are making stuff that's this good quality. So I still end up buying some Legions for myself here and there, but I think it's hard not to have that bitter taste like in the back of my throat every time I buy from them. And anytime I buy from them, I try to buy from not them and not Big Bad Toy Store. And that makes it feel a little bit better, but it's still like, yeah. Thankfully, not too many people listen to us, but that's that is the truth of the matter. On the other hand, we've already run late, but I will close on a positive note. Sparrow Toys, the Animal Warriors of the Kingdom, and they're making a couple other like Bushido Wave and stuff like that. Completely other side of the spectrum. It is a joy to work with Sparrow Toys. Jason, I can't remember his last name, but Jason is the guy who owns Sparrow Toys, and then he has a couple of guys that work closely with him. One of them, I have his business card down there. I don't think it has his name on it, but oh, Adam. Adam also works for Sparrow Toys. He's the one that was doing that like zombie astronaut line that was on Kickstarter. It wasn't
Mm.
funded. But yeah, I talked to him at WonderCon. We talked for a while. I've talked to Jason back and forth over Instagram and email. Um, yeah, there's like very much like a love for the toy, a love for collectors. When I ordered Wave One for Animal Warriors of the Kingdom, same time as I was starting off Frogman, um, I could order just what I wanted from Wave One, and then he also sent me a case of free accessories. He's like, these are just for free. Like, just have them, give them away, use them for yourself, just enjoy it. Um, and yeah, talking to Adam at WonderCon, he's like, yeah, our goal is to make good toys, obviously, but also we want to make it mom and pop shop friendly. So we don't want to ask for all this money up front for you to be able to carry our stuff. Like, hey, if you think our figures are cool, awesome. You can carry however much or however little you want to carry, and we're cool with that. And so, I told him, I was like, hey, man, for you and Jason, like whenever you guys are ready to launch this next wave and your next lines, like I'm in, I will carry them because it's like I love you as a company. Um, and so I cannot speak highly enough of Sparrow Toys, but yeah,
That sounds awesome. Like night and day.
yeah,
Yeah. And you can tell the passion that guy has for the figures that he is making, and it really shows. And I'm glad to see that his business practice is the same.
yeah. I think Jason would have been there at WonderCon, but there was another Toy Con that was going on at the same time, I think in Georgia or something. So he was there, and then Adam was representing them here in California. But yeah, you could always see pictures on their Instagram of like Jason at the booth, like taking pictures with people and like, people posing the figures that are on the table. So um, yeah, I think they're really good people.
Sweet.
Oh, all right. I ranted. I got it out there. We need to rank them. You guys decide where they go because I am biased. Where did this go here?
Uh, so first impressions, I think I was gonna be more in line with like Mezco Hayajada SHF. I think what they do it well. They're not exactly, amazing in terms of articulation or anything like that, but it's good for what it is, It's a really solid line that really, you can't say too much else about it.
I agree.
Yeah, so good figures, but bad practices. Does that factor into its placement?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Mezco, like it's not the same, but they don't have the best practices either.
Yeah.
It's more annoying than
Mhm.
anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like all I said, I still feel like they're an A-level company. Like I
Yeah.
said, I don't think there's some of those like third-party companies that are starting to make stuff. A lot of the good fantasy stuff though is like not Warcraft. So
Yeah.
it's like the gray, the
Getting late.
Thing.
licensing. Yeah, but but yeah, besides, some of those companies, there isn't really anybody else making really good fantasy stuff. So I feel pretty comfortable with that.
Okay.
All right. We have a bit of a mountain growing in the A category. All right. Any closing thoughts?
I
uh,
mean, I like the tier list. I think as time goes on, we get closer to the end, we'll probably shift a few things, maybe up or down a peg. But yeah, it's fun just kind of talking out the thought process.
oh yeah, engaging what you guys think of the company as well, because I know what I like, but you guys are like a whole other side of that coin, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah, we're not a monolith here at the Frogman podcast. All very different.
Yeah, I'm thinking as we kind of
We
get
all like
near the,
sushi.
yes, we do. I think as we get near the end, we'll have to, I think it'd be fun to bring on some guests to kind of get their input as well, even as we like close ranks and maybe move things around. I think it'd be fun to have a fourth party to speak into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, if you made it to the end, listen to all my ranting, comment if you want to, be a guest appearance, make a guest appearance with us in a future episode. And we would love to have you close ranks with us. It'd be fun. All right. Well, this has been the Froggy and Friends podcast. Thanks for hanging with us. I am Froggy. These are my friends. We will catch you at the pond next time. See ya.
Yep, later.